So, this is Janelle here, and I have a very interesting story to share with you that it's kind of embarrassing, but that's my life. So, last June 2015, I went to Arizona with my dad and my grandmother to visit my uncle and my cousins. And so, on the way home, we were supposed to stop at Chicago and then get on the flight from Chicago to Baltimore. And then, because of storms, the Chicago flight got canceled, which means that we rescheduled it for a flight to go to Ohio. So we went to Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and our plan was to catch a plane there and then go back to Baltimore. Well, it was a little bit more complicated than that. So what happened, what happened was the flight there got canceled too, so we're in the airport midnight. It's like midnight and we're still at the airport. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. All the restaurants are closed there. We got there like 9-ish, and then all the restaurants were already closed. So I'm like, why? And then, so all the restaurants are closed. So we were waiting for a while, and eventually our flight came. But before that happened, that's when I embarrassed myself. So I was a little bored, so I was sitting next to my dad, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna walk around a little bit. He's like, okay, cool, have fun, you know. So I'm walking around the airport because I'm really bored. And then I went to this area that was past the security. At least I thought that it wasn't the security, but I walked past, I'm just like walking around. And so I decided to turn around and go back to the waiting area where my dad was. And then the security guard was like, where do you think you're going? And I'm like, I'm going back to where my dad is. I'm going to the waiting area. In this airport, at this point, it's like 9 or 10. At this airport, there was only me, my dad, some random guy with his laptop, and the security. It's only 3 of us in this airport. It's nobody else here. So, in the airport is so small. Like, my high school was bigger than the airport. Like, I don't understand. So they say, okay, you need to show us your boarding pass and your ID. I'm like, okay. And I pull out my little bag, and I'm like, here's my ID. And then, like, I look for the boarding pass. I'm like, I don't have the boarding pass. They're like, well, you can't leave the security area until you have your boarding pass. I'm like, my dad has it. How am you gonna have me be stuck here? And they said, you cannot leave these gates until you have your boarding pass. And I'm like, so you want me to stand here? And then to top it off, this was on my 18th birthday. I spent my 18th birthday inside of an airport, the whole entire birthday inside an airport. That is not okay. So I'm like, oh snap, I got myself in some trouble here. So I called my dad. I'm like, yo, Dad, I'm stuck at the security gate. Janelle, I told you, this is why you shouldn't be wandering around. I'm stuck. I need help. I need the boarding pass. And so he didn't come right away. And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't have my boarding pass. I'm stuck here. And I'm like telling them, I'm like, guys, this is my 16th birthday. I'm not 16th. Oh gosh. This is my 18th birthday and you guys are doing this to me. Why? And so like, I'm just standing there and I'm like furiously looking through my bag. I found the boarding pass. So by then my dad was already at the gates and I'm like, oh Dad, funny story. I found my boarding pass. Still love me, right? So like he was like really upset about that, and it was just crazy because like they wouldn't let me leave the gate. I felt trapped, and I'm like, oh. And then my dad's like, see, you shouldn't be wandering off in the airport, and blah. So that's pretty much the story of what happened. It's ridiculous.